एक नया इतिहास लिखेंगे।
Namaskar, welcome to Lok Jagar channel, the series Makers of Modern India. Today we are having a subject, Management Guru Maharaja Sayajirao. When the science of management was in budding stage, Sayajirao was the management guru. Being a reformist ruler of Baroda state, the management practices used by Sayajirao Maharaj are not inferior to any modern management guru. He never had been a student of management, but the management techniques used by Sayajirao were his own techniques. He developed those by his sheer hard work, keen observation, interactions with experts of various fields from all over the world, his frequent and insightful tours of foreign countries. Of course, the grooming by his British guru and British civil servant F.H. Eliot, Diwan of Baroda state during his grooming stage, Mr. T. Madharao, played an important role. The most important was his earnest desire and passion of continuous improvement and welfare of his people, the subject of Baroda and India also. After taking over the charge of Baroda state, he first studied the shortcomings, problems, and weaknesses and strengths of his state, and of course, entire system. Very first thing on which he concentrated is the improvement of economic health of the state, which was on the verge of bankruptcy at that time. He made it sound. Our politicians must learn from him not only in this regard but every aspect of the healthy and people-oriented governance. Management of any state, organization, or company is not possible without competent people, a group of competent people or a team of competent people, that is human resources. Sayajirao identified this basic need very aptly and in a brilliant way, of course. For developing human resources, the training is the most essential part. Sayajirao was the first ruler of India in those days to recognize this vitally important aspect of governance and management. He deputed many of his personnel to the advanced countries like USA and Britain for training of various departments. He offered scholarships for education in foreign universities to the deserving and brilliant students like Dr. Ambedkar and many others, on the condition that they will work for the state after their completion of education. Consequently, the manpower of the state ruled by Sayajirao was most well trained and competent enough. Because of his fundamental aspect, his state was highly well managed and one of the richest in the world. When most of the kings were ruling by issuing verbal orders, Sayajirao made it mandatory that every order issued from a simple clerk to king himself will be in written form only. He himself used to keep pen and papers ready with him every time, even alongside of his bed also. The Baroda state has groomed many gems like Dr. Ambedkar, Maharshi Vittal Ramji Shinde, Dr. Ketkar Nankoshkar, Maharshi Yogi Arvind, Khasherao Jadhav, historian Riyasatkar G.S. Sardesai, Keshavrao Deshpande, etc. In some fields, competent manpower was not available in those days in India. Thus, Sayajirao invited many foreign experts with hefty salaries to manage the affairs of various departments of the state and get his personnel trained under them. Library expert Professor Borden, British economist C.E. Randall, who was chairman of Bank of Baroda, Scottish Railway Engineer Anderson, Excise Commissioner, Harvard graduate, Whitney, principal of his college and education minister of his state, was a Cambridge University scholar, sculptor of international repute, a Felici, gardening expert, and so many others. He was a very sensitive and sensible ruler with an empathy. It made him the astute management expert. The way he managed the worst kind of famine in his state in 1899 and plague, Spanish flu, is far far better than the management of famine in modern period and the management of corona in 2020. His book on famine management, that is Notes on Famine Tour, can be a beacon light for the disaster management in modern times also, not only for India but for the entire world. Communication is the backbone of modern management. Sayajirao was highly adept in communication. He used to interact with common subjects of his state to get first-hand feedback about functioning of the government and get knowledge of their grievances and suggestions, which were promptly resolved, acted upon. His every communication, right from some minor order to the policy statement to his speeches, correspondence, etc., is well documented and available even today. He used to write to the common man and to the highest authority at the same time, highest authority of British Raj, of course, for the interest of his state. Vision of future is the key component of management. Maharaja had the distinct and discrete vision of development, not limited to his state but for the entire nation. That is the reason he concentrated on all important parameters of development like education, training, empowerment of women, health, economic well-being of state, and industrial improvement in agriculture, and much more. Which attributes of Sayajirao made him management guru? The first and foremost was his strict discipline. Even his near and dear ones were not spared from his strict vigil and discipline. Second most important attribute is hard work and utmost dedication of Maharaja to his work. Barring few hours of sleep, most of the time of Maharaja was devoted to the development of his state and the people. While on the tour of foreign countries also, he was in touch with his officials and used to closely monitor the affairs of his state, issue orders from foreign land through telegrams, letters, etc., or whatever means of communication were available in those days. Every decision taken by Sayajirao was after due diligence, consultation with his officials and experts. He used to take into consideration all the pros and cons of the issues. He never took any decision in haste just for the sake of popularity or appeasement of any section of the society like our present politicians. His most prestigious scheme of free and mandatory education was implemented after having an experience of pilot project for about 12 to 15 years. His studious nature, ability to recognize the potential of human resources, organizational skills, an eye for micro-level planning, strategic vision, respect for human values, and hard work of his officials, utmost sensibility were the other virtues which made him excellent man of management. Emotional intelligence of Maharaja was tested and proved from time to time while ruling the state of Baroda. Despite many tragedies in personal life like death of his first wife just after few years of marriage, untimely death of his 3 sons, and many other turmoils, he remained on the track of ruling his state with efficacy and efficiency, of course. British Raj and their officials spared no opportunity to destabilize and dethrone him. But despite this, his utmost expertise of crisis management, he could survive through all the challenging situations. The mettle of the excellent manager is proved not in normal times but during the period of crisis. His managerial abilities were well proved and recognized at the international level in those days. Hence, he was invited by many world level forums to preside over. For example, he had the rare honor of presiding over the second Convention of Parliament of World Religions in Chicago, the first religion convention was held in Chicago also, and our Swami Vivekananda had to struggle to have a speech of 5 minutes in that conference. But Sayajirao was honored with presidency of that convention. He was the vice president of British Library. Cambridge University conferred the honorary degree of LLD upon him. Even British Raj, which was totally against him and tried to destabilize him on many occasions, has bestowed upon him many prestigious honors. The greatest honor for Maharaja was the members of British Parliament discuss about the developmental works and reforms in the reforms made by the Sayajirao Maharaj in Baroda state, discuss those in British Parliament and question their government why these are not being replicated in Great Britain. That was the greatest honor to the Sayaji Maharaj. Thus, all these things, if considered in proper perspective, Sayajirao Maharaj is nothing less than the management guru. All the modern managers, whether they are of company, whether they are from the government, whether they are from any other organization, can have the guidance from the life of Sayajirao Maharaj for the science of management. That is why we regard him as not only a king, not only a politician, not only a freedom fighter, but as management guru also. Thanks.
एक नया इतिहास लिखेंगे।